Okay, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday, where I'm out in very hot Montana. We say hut. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We're at Pechanga Reservation. It is in Temecula, California. And it is a tribe that in the last 25 years has historically reclaimed their land, their songs, their teachings, their basketry, their ancestors' teaching. So so we're at Pechanga, and I'm using my lower voice because it's when you scream around here, some police will come. No. So welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday and the Power Hour. And I wanted to just welcome you. You know, we're in a time, we're in a transition. December 4th, 2025. So we have to congratulate ourselves. You know, if you're indigenous from the United States, if you're First Nation or Métis from Canada, if you're Aboriginal from Australia, if you are Maori, if you're Brazilian, we have some Brazilian and Chiapas in our group here. We have some Anishinaabeg from Ontario. We have, however you indigenize or proclaim yourself, we welcome you to Wellness Wednesday. We have about 84 adults here working with youth. It's the lunch hour, and we're not going to pull any way. We just had talking circles where there was a lot of laughter and a lot of tears on the rites of passage. We have over 84 youth and Native youth doing their healing, and so they're all like behind me. I'll just take a moment and show you where we are. This valley is owned by the Pechanga people, and all of those rocks that you see right there are their holy rocks, and even their holy sand. And I'm pointing it this way because what we have is there's natural tobacco growing, traditional tobacco growing right there, and there's hummingbirds, it's high noon, so it's very, very hot. So this is where we're coming to you live for Native Wellness Wellness Wednesday and Power Hour. So we just finished an exercise, so I'm coming full force with a humongous epic healing event here, and it's our lunch break. So I wanted to last week. I shared with you a Napi story, and I was thinking about that Napi story because we need to tell the other part of the Napi story, and it's when Napi and the Kit Fox, after Napi, and Napi is the trickster for Blackfoot people, and Napi had his brother, the Kit Fox. He had enticed his brother to come with him to go hunting, and they had crossed the Red Deer River. They had crossed the Bow River, and they hadn't found anything to hunt or to eat. And so it was Napi was looking over the ridge, and Napi looked down off the ridge and he saw 4 bull buffalo. And these 4 bull buffalo hadn't seen him, so he snuck back so that they didn't see him. And he told the Kit Fox, his brother Kit Fox, they said, "Hey, there's 4 bull buffalo down there. And I have to figure out how we can go kill them so we could have meat." And so Napi thought, and Napi said to Kit Fox, he said, "Hey, I think, let me do this. Brother, let me pick all of your fur and all of your hair off of your body and just leave the tip. And then get up on the ridge and just do some crazy antics. You know, just laugh, roll, do somersaults, just roll around with it frantically and make them laugh." And my idea is that you make them laugh so hard that they laugh themselves to death. And so that's so the first, and the Kit Fox, he couldn't think of anything else, an alternative plan. So he let Napi pull all of his fur off except for the tip of his tail. And he got up on the ridge, and the bull buffalo, because bull buffalo, when they see motion, they won't react to it. I'm going to sit back down out of the sun. They were curious, but at first they were just going to run, because like when bull buffalo get startled, they'll just run. And so they started to run, but they got curious because here's this crazy Kit Fox, you know, just up on the ridge, just doing all these fanatics, just doing all these funny things for them, you know. And so they started, you know, at first laughing, you know, it was like that, you know, and then laughing harder, and then laughing harder, and then laughing themselves to death. Now I want to finish that story because it's called When the Ini, that's what we call buffalo. I want to finish that story so Napi goes down and he starts butchering the Ini and butchering the buffalo. And he starts, you know, cutting meat, and the whole time he's just talking lively, you know, telling to his brother Kit Fox, he goes, "Yeah, now, no worries. We're just going to take all this meat back to our camp, and we'll have meat, and we can sing and dance all until springtime." You know, like this is, he's saying this, and the Kit Fox is being quiet, and he's just like talking away, and finally he realizes that Kit Fox is not answering him. He's just standing there with this unusual, he looks at his face, and he's kind of twisted, and he goes over, what's wrong with you? How come you're not answering me? We got all this meat. He gets closer to the Kit Fox, and he nudges him, and the Kit Fox has frozen to death and is gone. He's dead, and he knocks him over. And that Kit Fox had froze to death. And so that is as much of the story as I'm going to share. And the reason I wanted to share it with you today and share this story is because some of us may be kind of frozen because of the election last month. Some of us might be kind of frozen because when we get into the holiday season, it's so festive, and our lives might not be festive like everyone else. So we get numbed and frozen. So just think about that when we're frozen, because today's topic is about self-care again. And I get over and over, you'll hear Nistuni Daniko Mokoyo Sukoyi. It's my second Blackfoot name, and I'm 69 years old. I have over 50 years in Al-Anon program, Alateen to Al-Anon. I have, these are just qualifiers, 36 years and 6 months in active Alcoholics Anonymous, and in my Blackfoot ways of being transferred clean and sober. That means that I don't drink any more Budweiser at any sports events. I don't do any mind alter, not a little bit of fentanyl or cocaine. I'm clean and sober. So, and to me, in some days that feels really good, and some days it's confusing. It's confusing, and I guess I just have to be self-revealing. I've been staying in a casino, and it's a very nice casino, and everyone's gracious, and there's just a lot of and I don't gamble because one of if you gamble, you're not in recovery. It's one of the, you'll do it for a while, and next thing there'll be the relapse back into your drug of choice. So I've been around, but I'm making our native wellness team here is here, and to my knowledge, our team, none of them gamble or none of them drink, and we've just been in our balance together. And so my topic, I want to talk about self-care with what's happening in our world, and our world, the United States, our world in Canada, and our indigenous world. So one of the I wanted to first start with our rites of passage. We were just with 84 indigenous people, and it was so great because we did an exercise with Wade McGee, Jolene Joseph, and Jean Tagabon. And we just finished an exercise where there was no words that could be used. And we had to line up by birth, what year we were born. And so you would have the youngest. And so 18-year-old was our youngest up to the last elder was born in 1950 on one side of the room. And then we went to a large group of all being born. They were all under 35 years old. And then we had a couple 50 years old and just two 60-year-olds old. So the majority of the group is under 35 years old. So that's kind of cool. So these rites of passage, and we're beginning to Jean and I wanted to share with you again. We've talked a lot about in our culture, Siksikatepi, or the Blackfoot culture, that 100 years that we get to live, being born 25 years old, 50 years old, 75 years old, 100 years old. We have rites of passage. We have societies, where we're in, Kit Fox, Mosquito, Ganax Dimada, Brave Dog, Moto Keeks, Ixkanax, Horns. And then we have very honored, Thunder Pipe Holders. We have Blacktail. There's all of these societies that also help you, because in these 100 years, and it has to do with self-care, is because if you do the self-care, you should live 100 years, 75, 100. And I'm using this circle right now, and I always use the circle, and I want to make a heart because I feel like, oh, my heart feels so much gratitude right now. And in these rites of passage that our team is going through in their talking circles, we just came out here. I came out here, but they're going to lunch. But there was a lot of tears and there was a lot of laughter. but more tears, and a lot of smudge had to be burned because of this rite of passage. And Gene and Wade, and they're having a little conference with all of the men because Native Wellness Institute is putting together all of their 2025 men in wellness gatherings. And also we'll be looking at our women in wellness gatherings. We are now in alliance with White Bison and NAFA and Native Dads Network and the National Indian Cancer Foundation. We're going to have a large conference sponsored mainly by and organized by White Bison somewhere in Colorado in June. So that's being discussed because one of our reactions to not only the election but also to keep wellbriety and wellness alive and sobriety in our cultural ways to keep our culture alive is we need coalitions, we need coordination, we need positive, productive, and proactive cultural activities. And that's what's keeping everyone balanced. That's why we're here together, because is everyone comes. A Native Wellness Institute, we used to go to San Diego and be at the Bahia. Now we're looking at Pechanga as being our new adopted place that we come here every winter. Because a lot of us, where I live, it's feet, 3-4 feet of snow. The other day I looked at our home camera and it was -5 Fahrenheit. So I'm in a place where there's sunshine. I was just like, hey, kind of greasy. So it is kind of, so where these rites of passage. So I just want to commend all of you because one of the rites of passage that you have just come through and we need celebration is that we survived the pandemic. We just been alerted that possibly there's another sweeping COVID outbreak nearby. So, even now, and when I left home, I came to visit another Blackfeet member who was just getting over COVID and then was just getting over the flu. So COVID, all of that is making its rounds. So for self-care, make sure you have all the boosters. Make sure you have all of the vaccines. I know right now I've had 7 boosters from COVID, RSV, flu, pneumonia. You only need to get every 5 years. But I was just saying to myself, oh man, do I have bear root? Do I have breathing medicine? Do I was just looking at and I do have those medicines, but if I get COVID, I want to not spread it. So I'm going to self test. We're all self-testing. So these rites of passage. So what did you learn during the pandemic? One of my greatest lessons in having survived the pandemic is I really returned to an original teaching around the staying present, staying in the present moment. And I've noticed that even though we have the vaccines and we can go in social groups and we can gather again for our powwows and do all of this, I notice that I stay present. I'm working, so I put my phone away so I don't look at it. I don't pay attention to time. I mean, like when you're in a group like this, you have compliance. We eat lunch at noon, we take a break at 3:30, and we end around 4:30. And so, but the staying present, and so I'm just sitting, again, I'm looking out, the sun, Natusi, as we say, Hayo Natusi, Hayo Napi Natusi. Now that's why, I was taught by my elders that our prayers should start that way. to Ishtabatapiyo. This and the equating Natusi, you know, Ishtabatapiyo. And my father always he said that Ishtabatapiyo is your maker of all things, and your maker gives you life and follows you all the way till you take your last breath. And then Ishtabatapi, and it usually takes you 4 days to travel over. You go around, visit everyone, and he used to call it the Big Sandy, or the Sand Hills. And so that that rite of passage, you know, all the rites of passage while you're here on earth. So the first, you know, I was just sharing with them, because a lot of this group does not have their Indian name or their indigenous name yet. And that is some of the conversation, because they're making plans to all go back and get their indigenous name if they don't have it. And then we had everyone raise their hand that already has their Indian name. And so they're having conversations now, because they have to start to listen in order to prep themselves for that rite of passage of getting their Indian name. They're listening to those as examples, and then who they can go to and at what ceremony. Or maybe they had a dream, because sometimes in a lot of tribes, a dream will determine what their Indian name should be, what their spirit name should be. So that's a rite of passage. But and I'm just having a dialogue with you. You know, I can't see the screen, and it's that's probably okay. So I'm going, geez, my big old moon face. I mean, I can kind of, but what other rites of passage should we pay attention to? And I've been thinking about this, because one of the rites of passage is, you know, I've already lost my father, who died in 2002. And so that rite of passage where you only have one parent and you have lost a parent is a rite of passage. That rite of passage where, if you were blessed, because I knew all 4 of my grandparents, as each one, my mom's dad, Manly John, Awatski, my mom's mom, when she passed, and then Atstanikiwa, my dad's mom, and then Monokini, my dad's dad. I went through 4 rites of passage with those 4 grandparents passing. So then in our group, there was a lot of tears, because some people did not know their grandparents, or some had no parents, or they had no alliance, or did not know their biological parents. My heart aches for those who do not know their biological parents, or do they want to know their biological parents. And there's, you know, in wellness, it's a big thing, because we have to have boundaries of self-care. If our biological parents are not in a healthy way, it's not good for us to be around them, for triggering or showing, you know, especially if we're in recovery, because sooner or later they have this old saying, if you hang out in the barber shop, sooner or later you're going to get your hair cut. It's like, if you hang out in the bar, sooner or later you're gonna drink. If you hang out at the casino, wow, I'm just so, I wear all my protection medicine. I smudge in my room, but when I walk through the casino, I just say, hi, Ostapatapi, Ninna, Napi Natusi, no Gakimoke, no Gaspomoke, help me, pity me. And it all goes away. There's no craving. I don't want to gamble, or I don't want to be in that energy, because I could see the energy of couples fighting, see the energy of people who stayed up all night gambling, and but it there's some kind of dualism to it. I'm really glad that the resources that it gives to the tribe, because they're able to prosper and they're able to grow and they're able to give all of their tribal members many things. But what about the tribes that don't have that big income coming in? You know what? You have your culture, you have your language, you have your lateral kindness, you have your ability to help others, to transfer knowledge. You have all of these other where you have integrity. You know, it's kind of, that's what's good about the 12 steps, or that's what's good about your ancestors' teachings, is it teaches you how to behave in a way where you help the whole tribe or the whole people. And that's why 2024, you know, there's such volatileness. So in this rite of passage, one of the things that I wanted to encourage you to look at right now is December 21st, which is coming up here real quick. That's the solstice. And so there should always be a rite of passage at the equinox and the solstice. So that means March 20th or thereabouts, June 20th and thereabouts, September 22nd thereabouts, and December 21st thereabouts. Those are rites of passage when we ourselves need to do extra self-care, extra self encouragement, extra self-resiliency to boost us into spiritually growing and to protect ourselves. So what are you going to do December 21st for yourself and for your family? Because remember, you can only take people as far as you have gone, or you can't teach something unless you have that experience. Your testimony. Jean just said it again, Tagabon and Wade. Your story is someone else's survival manual. And I was just feeling the heat here. I wish I was on my lake and it was summer and I had a bathing suit. I would just dive into the water. Because, you know, that's our air conditioning. We, in the summertime, we just dive into the water and come back out and we're cooled off for a couple hours. And then we get hot and we go dive into the water again. So anyway, that's Blackfeet air conditioning. But here I see, that you need air conditioning, because I see some of the elders that it's not good to bake. There's even a team in here. It's so funny. There's a team in here. Their name is Sunburnt. Hey, you good? Oh. Oh, okay. Anyway. So I just our team is just getting their lunch, and so that's really good to hear. I'm really happy for them. I'll have my lunch when we're done here. So what are the rites of passage? What are the rites of passage? Having your first child, birthing your first child, birthing your second child, having your second child, birthing your third child. And I was thinking about like Awatski, you know, and they all had, 12, 13 children. And then I was thinking about Atstanikiwa, having 11 children. And then even Grandma Cecile Russell, 17 live births and 13 lived. Just think each child is a rite of passage, because you've been gifted that child to breastfeed them and teach them self-regulation with cradle boards. And that's, once you learn about the soft spot, because the soft spot on a child opens up to the universe. And it's very important to have them around rites of passage and ceremony and smudge and songs and dance when that part is open. And then when it closes, that means again they're here for the human experience that also teaches us those values and teaches us that behavior. And our oppressors, our settlers, they have a formula, and this is once you should know this for rites of passage. First, they come and they take away how you pray, and they try to make you pray like them. They disenfranchise your men, and they continually lock up your men behind bars. They take away your language. They grab your children and put them in residential schools or boarding schools. And then they take your land, they take your water, they take your minerals. And then all you have to do is add a little bit of fentanyl, a little bit of whiskey, a little bit of Budweiser, a little bit of some mind-altering drug, methamphetamine, and then what you have is you wipe them out and it's genocide. So undo it. Get clean and sober. Take back your land. Grow your plants. Start renewing your language. Raise your boys to be mature protectors and nurturers, not womanizers. Raise your boys to be good fathers, to sweat, to pray, to sing with other men who are examples of good living with without any of that ugly behavior. And you have to reclaim, and that's, part of the self-care, these rites of passage today is part of yourself has to be around the culture. So part of your self-care is to say prayers in your language, to learn, and that's, I'm just a practicing speaker. I'm pitiful. So don't make fun of me. Encourage me to learn the language. It's just, we have immersion schools around the globe. It started, with Hawaii and Maori having their immersion where there's just language speakers that take the babies in diapers and just raise them with no English, no French, no other, just with the indigenous language. And it works because we have our, on our reservation, we have a man named Daryl Kipp, Dr. Roz Lapierre. She kept the funding coming into that immersion school for many, many years. And so we have language speakers, and then they go into the 8th grade, so they're only here Blackfoot language, and so most of them are fluent. We have Jesse DeRozier, we have Trace Yellow Owl, and several fluent speakers now, even Colton Running Crane, who was self-taught. He didn't even go to the immersion school. He was self-taught at Cutbank, and I want to lift him up because he created a curriculum where he taught all the students at Cutbank, they were welcome to learn to speak Blackfoot. so now you have all these other races all speaking Blackfoot, and it's just a really powerful thing. He also, once Colton finished that, he taught all of the teachers at Cutbank, and a lot of them are non-Blackfoot, non-Blackfeet, but he taught them to speak Blackfoot. He had a curriculum. So here's this kid, starting out in the 8th or 9th grade at what used to be predominantly Napiaki, Napiquin, white school, and now they're all speaking Blackfoot. So that's some of that trickster medicine. So you just undo that. You get the language to come back. And I'll just say one of our blessings of the COVID is because we were just Blackfeet, we're with Blackfeet, is that all the COVID babies were Blackfeet with Blackfeet, so we increased our blood. we said, and not only that is that when these babies were born, like I want to give a shout out to Terrence Laframboy and his wife Dusty, because they had wanted to have another baby, and they tried and tried and tried, and they did, and they finally got this little boy named Namsky, like the lizard on the rawhide of the that you sing on the Beaver Bundle, Namsky. So all of these COVID babies. So for every elder we lost, we had 8 or 9 Nitsitapi Blackfoot babies with hair that stands straight up. And so there's like that blessing. The COVID, it gave us so much. The other blessing, and these are rites of passage. You know, when after COVID, remember when you go through a traumatic experience, and it's good to think about the Vietnam War, our freedom, Iraq, the most recent wars, and now even we see it happening in Ukraine and Gaza, is the people that are in war, just like we were in COVID, need to have healing, need to have tender loving care, need to have safe spaces. And that's why we're gathered here, in order to deal with the trauma from what they just went through. And you know, symptoms of trauma that still needs a little bit more healing, and we're seeing it, is one of the young men in here described, he said, you know, I'm doing okay, but it feels like my heart beats like this. And he goes, and I just can't get it to calm down, and I get anxious and I have anxiety. But he was able to articulate it, and as soon as he got it out, you could see him just start breathing normal and calming down. Because if we need to sing it out, yell it out, tell our story, it needs to be verbally. That communication needs to happen like that. That sun just feels so good. So forgive me for just enjoying it, because I think I'm solar powered. And I just feel that. So other symptoms are that there's scrapping, and we call it scrapping. Siblings are fighting, relationship of hetero man and woman are fighting, two-spirit, same sex fighting, or there's like an animosity with coworkers, with jobs, and when the animosity doesn't have forgiveness or rebuilding, it implodes, it breaks apart, and it doesn't exist anymore. So we're now seeing that now, and now what has speeded it up is this urgency to have these holidays off and to celebrate. I was just sharing with Jolene Joseph, one of the most beautiful things that I seen Deb Holland doing was her and her sisters just put out all the stuff to make tamales on a table. And they started just assembling the tamales, you know, and this is, you know, rather than, you know, react, they were responding in a cultural way by loving, being with the people that you love unconditionally, making tamales. And you know, I can attest to that, because I took 11 days off and I went on vacay, which means I didn't bring along most work stuff. I didn't bring a lot of my smudge. So here's an example how Creator works. I didn't bring any of our mountain sage or sage that I usually carry. So one of the things that I just discovered here, I'm actually going to walk you over there, is we were just standing outside here, and I thought, wow, I just have like one little piece of sage. And I said, you know, Goksamee, there's 38 different kinds of sage. And I just said, Creator, if there's some way you could bring me some sage. So then we looked down. So here, look at this California sage. You know, look at it just growing right here. California sage. One kind of sage. And so, you know, everybody's eating lunch, so I'm gonna chew on a little piece of sage because it reminds me of when I danced 10 years with Buster Yellow Kidney with the bundle that was, one bundle was given to Thelma and Buster Yellow Kidney, and another was given to Joe Ironman at Fort Belknap. And my mother danced there, so I danced 10 years there. And one of the things I learned was a rite of passage is I learned how to stay in prayer and a mindfulness of prayer, of gratitude. And we were allowed every once in a while to take a little piece of the mountain sage. So because it's lunchtime, and I decided to come out here and do Wellness Wednesday. And so I just wanted to take you, there's a shade here. Look at this, and I'm not California Indian, but check this out. These acorns. Check that out. Everywhere in this whole place is acorns. And so I'm gonna finish the Power Hour or Wellness Wednesday under the shade. Wow, just look at this. You could just you could live forever. Just think that's how the California Indians say they could live forever, just with these acorns right here. Makes me think about acorn soup. Makes me think about acorn meatloaf, you know, because just acorn flour. Anyway, it was just, look at, these are just abundance of acorn here. So the self-care, Teresa Tindoy, a rocky boy. She would always, her and Louise Stump, Vidal, and Ruby Stump would always say, please put sage in your shoe when you get up in front of people. And so, and at the Sundance, they would let us put a little bit of the sage in our mouth. So I'm doing that because I'm not real hungry, but it's lunchtime. I ate a banana, ate a Kind bar, so I'm good. But now that I have the sage in, it just reminds me of to do my prayers. And as long as I stay in prayer, I don't get hungry, I don't get thirsty. And when I'm hiking, same thing. Learn to hydrate early, get up, drink, 3-4 bottles, a couple hours that you're waking up of water, hydrate. And you can go all day till the evening without water, just in prayer and talking to your body and the healthiness of your body. So I'm just walking out here because they're cleaning up the garbage and I don't want them to throw my stuff in the garbage. Anyway, so these other, these rites of passage, I was thinking, wow, I'm approaching 69 and 70 years old. What rites of passage have really, really helped me? I think the first was when Paul owns a saber, and my mother, Betty Cooper, gifted me my first pipe. And my mother had a dream